بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Sister Fatima, Sister Callie Khadijah, Sister Rosalinda, and there is another, well, y'all three can start, and Sister Anissa that I have in my mind. Could each of y'all inbox me? I want to do a program with y'all. And Miss Joanne as well, and Sister Fatima Muhammad. I have something in my mind that I wanted to do with y'all all. So if y'all can inbox me how to contact y'all so we can set it up, inshallah. It's something I meant to do before, a program with y'all, but I just get so busy. But now that I see you, it came back to my mind. I talk about it all the time, but sometimes I get overwhelmed. So please, inshallah, send me an inbox so that we can set it up, inshallah. I think there is a important element that all of you can add to our work together collectively. And I think we should, share our stories to the extent we want to, and our ideas, and, strengthen our family ties. And our youth who are older than us are essential in that. Because the elders in my community said, don't call me no elder. So our youth who are older than us, inshallah. No, I didn't buy a new cell phone. I don't know what happened to my cell phone, but soon as the class ended, maybe about 15 minutes after, everything came back on. So I guess it was a warning, as my wife says. It gave me a warning that you're overloaded. Inshallah. But I was enjoying the moments without a phone. Y'all remember those days when nobody had a cell phone? It was just peaceful. I remember I got my first cell phone in 1987 or 88. And in those days, you had the cell phone in the car, and then you had this big old box you carry on your shoulder strap. But not everybody had that, You had to be like, baller. And then they came out that from that big phone, they had this little flip phone with a little antenna. Now, you had one of those, you was a real baller. I remember those days. But the reception was horrible. And the big company back in that day was SkyTel. You get a Sky pager, then they got that flip phone. You was real, you was the man. Then walk around the hood like, what? That's not what I came to talk about. What I wanted to talk about briefly before our reader gets here was yesterday, because sometimes when we're on the round table, I think sometimes I play a lot. I like to have fun, you know. But sometimes I'm serious when I'm joking. I'm joking, but I'm serious about the joke. And all right, Rosalinda, as long as you don't mind. Some sisters, they don't like that. I ain't no elder. I'm 22. Okay. But one of the things I'm serious about is maintaining our Islamic tradition. It's very serious. I'm talking about in terms of education. And when we speak of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, being Al-Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya in Aqidah, and in Fiqh, the Hanafi school, Maliki school, Shafi'i school, Hanbali school, and following the way of Tasawwuf, I'm not joking about that. I'm dead serious. And I know a lot of us would be mujtahids. And let me put that. So we have a few terms that I want you to get. One of them is default Wahhabi. The other term, and would be mujtahid. These are two terms. I'm adding the second term. So we know the default Wahhabi is the person who has all these bad ideas that he's been influenced or she's been influenced with from the Wahhabi group, which contradicts Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. They're in direct contradiction to Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And someone may ask, why do you spend so much time on the Wahhabiyah? Because they're the most dangerous threatening the proper transmission of this religion, especially Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And there can't come a point in time where we say that's okay, right? We can't get to the point where we say, it's okay to have deviant creed and belief and practice and the lack of proper Islamic spirituality. That's not something we can accept. Now, how we work it out is another story, but it's something we can accept. We can't just walk around and say it's permissible to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above his throne and that Allah moves and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has limbs and organs and that you don't have to follow a school of thought when you're not a qualified mujtahid. These things we can't accept, right? Nor can we accept their various variations. In other words, you have a person who has Wahhabi ideas, but he says he's Ahl Sunnah. There's a lot of that. Listen to what I put. Please put this up. You have a lot of people who have Wahhabi ideas, but they say they're Ahl Sunnah. Could someone put that up? You have a lot of people in our time who have Wahhabi ideas, but they say they're Ahl Sunnah. It's a lot of them out there. Reader, give me about 15 minutes. I just want to finish this point, and then I'll bring you on, inshallah. Right, Nisi, barakallahu biki. Right? Right? She copied. That's nice. Somebody wants to say, oh, wait, oh, that was me. Right? I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I told y'all that this thing go fast. But no, please copy that. Right? I missed it. Right? Please put that up there. I'm going to explain, Fatima, peoples. Whenever you see someone talking about we don't have to be Ash'ari and Maturidi, that's a sign of a Wahhabi. Trust me. Because usually when you hear that, you'll hear an attack against Al-Ash'ari wal Maturidiyya. Even if it's slick way, it's an attack. And you would find that behind that is some Wahhabi insinuations, right? You find someone to Muslim, we don't have to follow a madhab. This is Wahhabi ideas, right? You find someone not inclined to tasawwuf, that's a Wahhabi idea. And you'll start to find a lot of Wahhabi practices that have infiltrated the ranks of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? And as Imam Naim said, that person with that big old word he just used, I'm not that smart, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it for fun, right? While that person vehemently denies being Wahhabi, but he got another word. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can make some fun of myself. Vociferously. What's that? What is that? You can't pronounce it either. Vociferously. So, dang, we not that smart. That's harder than supererogatory. Oh my goodness. All right, now I'm just having fun, right? So here, Ahl Sunnah, listen, a real Sunni has the whole combination of three. The Ash'ari or Maturidi, the average Sunni Muslim. They're either Ash'ari or Maturidi in creed. They follow one of the four schools properly with teachers, with a continuous chain through well-known books. Watch this game too. They follow one of the four schools with teachers, with a well-known chain, and with reliable books. I'll repeat that one more time. In fiqh, so they're Hanafi or Maliki or Shafi or Hanbali, they follow these madhabs with well-known teachers, trustworthy teachers, with a continuous chain and well-known, relied upon books in every madhab. You're going to see in the future, and I hope Imam Naim will engage me in this, and I talked to Imam Dawood and others. One of the things we're going to do is go heavily into the structure of the madhahib, the schools. I'll do Shafi'i, some will do Maliki, some will do Hanafi, and even Hanbali, because in fiqh, that's an established school, right? So that you know what I'm talking about when I talk about trustworthy teacher, chain of narration, and relied upon books, right? You got all these muqtasarat, these summaries, and these ain't relied upon books in the school. And people would just teach that and act as if they're teaching the school. There's a big difference, right? Right? So what you'll have is I'll teach you a summarized book, and then I'll make that the madhab. Game. Watch it. You heard what I said? That person will teach a summarized book. That's usually for kids. That doesn't even cover the whole madhab. It usually just an ibadat, and not even an ibadat with details, not in acts of worship with details. This is for the kids, right? And they would just teach that and act as though that is the madhab. So they'll say, I follow this school, but they only learned ibadat, and they only learned a summary in ibadat. But then when they teach, they'll say, this is the Shafi'i school, or this is the Maliki school, or this is the Hanafi school, and the Hanbali school, and they ain't never studied none of that. Did you understand what I said? It's very important. You know, we have to, if we're going to move forward as a community, we have to get serious in these issues. To give you an example, what you think of Sulam at-Tawfiq. Sulam at-Tawfiq is a book for beginners. That's not a relied upon book in the Shafi'i school. It is it has some issues of the Shafi'i school summarized. But if you study the Shafi'i school, you may study the Shafi'i school in a reliable way, and that won't even be in your curriculum. And I teach Sulam at-Tawfiq, and I've learned Sulam at-Tawfiq multiple times. That's not a book that's representing necessarily the relied upon position in the Shafi'i school. That's a book for beginners. When we start out, we learn it like we did here. We learned Sulam at-Tawfiq. To get some rules, it only takes some rules, some cases, and then you move up to more advanced books that really represent the actual school. Do you understand the difference? So someone who takes Sulam at-Tawfiq, for instance, or anything similar like that, and acts as though because I learned Sulam at-Tawfiq, I'm teaching the school of Shafi'i, is deluding you. That's not true. There are so many cases, right, that are missing in that book that are important in the school, especially when we talk about building communities. You got to actually know fiqh, right, to build what we're trying to do as a community, as a group of people. We can't be like just summarized. La, we got real issues that take details that you'll never even find in these summarized books. I'll give you an example. If we was going to talk about the details of child custody, are we going to find that in Sulam at-Tawfiq? Absolutely not. If we're going to talk about the details of buying and selling and insurance, all of these things that we got to deal with, banking, are we going to find that in Sulam at-Tawfiq? No. Do you understand my point? If we want the details of marriage and divorce, are we going to find that in Sulam at-Tawfiq? No. You see my point? You're not going to find that in these summarized books, right? So do you understand what I mean? Relied upon books in the madhab? But all of us got to start somewhere, so we start in the beginning at the basics. But we can't turn the basics into the rule, right? That's like taking a third grade book and making it a university textbook. It's not going to work. Do y'all understand what I just meant here? Is that clear, this point I made? And I use Sulam at-Tawfiq because it's a Shafi'i book and we all know about it. Even if you, Ahmed and Nawawi, even if you studied Sulam at-Tawfiq, You're not going to know about the rules of marriage and buying and selling. You're going to know some of them. And they're only indications so that you can learn in bigger books. They're pointing you to something. That's not you're going to learn it. So you cannot read Sulamat Tawfiq and say I'm Shafi'i. No. You can say I learned some cases according to the Shafi'i school. But not I'm Shafi'i because I studied a book like that. Or any other. There are books similar like that in other madhabs, right? Like in our time, and I'm going, listen, Imam Naim is my buddy, Imam Genius. So I'm not attacking the Maliki school. I'm Ahl Sunnah. I love all of our schools, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali. But we got to speak the truth. That's like some people walking around, and I know some of them claiming to be Maliki, they didn't even study Al-Akhdari well. Al-Akhdari is a summarized book that deals with some cases of Aqidah, small cases of Tasawwuf, and fiqh of Ibadat in some cases, not all of it. It's a small beginner's book for children, right? You got people walking around that's all they studied. They didn't study it well, and they're actually teaching, talking about I'm Maliki. And the Maliki's sitting around like quiet in our area when this guy is butchering your madhab. Do you understand what I mean? I'm not saying you learn something, don't teach it. That's not what I'm saying. Don't make claims. That's what I'm saying. And sometimes when you make these claims, you know, a person who hasn't studied at all, right? Really, and then had a teacher that saw this. Not saying you got to be perfect. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you got to be an expert. I'm not saying you got to be a sheikh. I'm not saying none of that. I'm saying you got to study. There's a big difference. I'm not saying you're the best student in the class. I'm talking about you have to actually be in the class, right? Like, I'm not talking about you the best student in the class. I'm talking about you actually have to be in the class. You got these guys who never even been in the class, right? Do you understand my point? You haven't even been in the class, let alone teaching the class. You haven't even been in the class. If we start talking about the school itself, you're going to be confused. You don't know nothing about the school. Yet you want to be the sheikh. And that's not to attack anyone. That's just to tell us where we got to be. And that applies for all of us, right? Everybody got to know their level. And then what we don't have, we have to get. We can't stop. Imam Amin only know this much. So I want to be the leader. So that's where I'm going to stop you right here. Nah, we learned this. Now we got to bring someone and we need to raise the money or whatever we need to teach this. And this is the teacher for that. Do you understand my point? Anyone know me? And it's how we should be. I always have teachers to come teach. And I remember I've always been like that for years. Like, come teach this book, come teach this book, come teach this book, come teach this book, right? And I remember something, excuse me, Sheikh Samir said to me, and I never will forget it. He said to me, stop bringing me here to teach stuff you can do. He said, you're wasting time. There are people who need real advanced teachers and advanced stuff, and you're bringing me here to do things that you can do. Don't bring me all the way from Damascus, Syria to come give a class that you can do. Just to say we have a sheikh here. La, bring me to do something you can't do. And I respected that from him, right? So I'm not talking about don't do what you can do. I'm talking about making claims of stuff you can't do, right? Because at every level, let's give an example. At every level, there's always going to be people who's going to need to learn Sulam Tawfiq or a Risalatul Jamia or Al Aqdari or Al Ashmawiya or, you know, a smaller book, right? In different madhabs. There's always going to be people. So you learn it. Now you don't occupy the teacher who's more advanced with that. You teach the people that. Everybody comes in, going to sit in Imam Amin's class in Sulam Tawfiq, Imam Naim's class in Al-Akhdari, for instance, right? And there are similar things in other schools, just to give you an example, right? We teach the people that. Then if it's another level that needs to go, so the next level is going to be, for instance, we're going to do Metin Abi Suja, right? Then someone would teach that if we didn't learn it, right? Then if we're going to go to Umdat Salik or the Reliance of the Traveler, then we have someone to teach that. Then if we're going to go further, like for instance, to Minhaj, to summarize, to go to Al-Minhaj, we have someone to teach that. And at each level, there's someone who can teach that. And you may just stay there. All your classes is in Sulam Tawfiq or Risalatul Jamia. Then at the next level, someone teaches there. That's what we got to have. But we can't, the one who can't do it tries to do it or acts like you don't need to do it. No, there are some people, they teach in elementary school their whole career. They never be a high school teacher. Their whole career, they are an elementary teacher. For 20, 30 years, I've been teaching elementary school. That's what I do. I'm not a high school teacher. I'm not a college professor. I'm an elementary school teacher. But for 30 years, they've been teaching students, right? And they are honored for that. The same thing with us. Do you understand my point? Is my point clear? This is important. Because when we talk about our great scholars that we all love, like for me, Imam al-Haddad, right? Radiallahu ta'ala anhu. For Imam Naim, Sheikh Uthman Dan Fudio, the Shehu. They understood this point. And if you study their scholarly curriculum, the way they taught people, they taught like this. That's a known fact, right? The Shehu's method, the Imam al-Haddad's methodology, right, was in his time, the books were certain different books because it was, but after his time, there was a certain tartib of study. Even in his time, there was a tartib. It just, we don't study those books no more. Like the stuff they study was a little bit too difficult for us. Like the stuff they memorized, Imam al-Haddad and those before him, for us, it's hard to even read. You heard what I said? The books they memorized for us in the Shafi'i school, today we have trouble reading them. Like they would read Al-Irshad. No one reads that today. In their time, books like Al-Wajiz of Imam al-Ghazali, Al-Muharrar, Imam Rafi'i, we don't read that stuff. Not in the Shafi'i school today. We might read it if someone's an advanced student just researching, but as far as curriculum, that's in nobody's curriculum. But that was their curriculum. Then later, the lower books, then the next book, then the next book, then the next book, right? So for us, there's a tartib, right? As same as for the Shehu. They had a tartib, they had a sequence of how they learn books, right? You learn this, then you learn this, in Maliki fiqh. And then as they expand, they read other books of other madhahib when they got to the level of scholarship. Most of us have never learned that way because of default Wahhabism. No one took us through a curriculum. No one, but it's part of the Wahhabism thought. It's like, I learned this one, and now we're doing our own thing. And that's because of a lack of teachers, right? There's not many qualified teachers. So what happens is unqualified people fill in the gaps, like us. Unqualified people fill in the gaps. And sometimes that's by necessity, but it can't be the standard. You follow my point? One day we got to see that even though we don't have what we need and we're doing this in the meanwhile, we got to get to a point where we establish what we need, right? We have to get that in our mind. We can't like with the elder imams, most of us, we became imam by default. We was the most knowledgeable in the community. We weren't knowledgeable. We were just the most knowledgeable in the community. Let's get this part together. We were not knowledgeable. We were just the most knowledgeable in the community. There's a difference. But if we get deluded to thinking because we were the most knowledgeable in the community that we're actually knowledgeable, that's a problem. So in other words, since I'm the most knowledgeable, I'm filling in this void until we train or bring a knowledgeable person that can teach us and take us to the next level. Now, for us as a people, I'm sorry, this is very important. I think this is very important because a lot of times we say stuff and people may not fully understand what I'm talking about. So I have to go in a little bit of detail. So please pardon me if I'm deviating from our normal programming, but this is important. So the person who says I'm knowledgeable, I'm more knowledgeable than most of the people in the community. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable, but I can do some stuff that others can't do. That person has to actually know their real rank and not cheat the community for their own ego, right? So in other words, I'm the imam. Okay, but you need to learn. So you need to bring someone in who can do what you can't do. Now, when you bring someone in, that doesn't mean that he got to take over. He's here to do this job, right? He's here to teach Shafi'i or Maliki fiqh at the various advanced stages. Maybe we're only at the beginner level. Then he's going to teach the intermediate level and then maybe the advanced level and then someone into specialization because it goes to that level, right? That don't mean you're in charge. That's your job. Because you can teach fiqh don't mean you can deal with these problems we got going on around here, right? Teach us fiqh, teach us the rule, and we'll handle the rest. So you still have a position. That don't mean you got to run the money, right? We still going to run our community, but you're going to come help where we're lacking. Do you follow my point? We got to start thinking big because if we don't think like this, we're going to pass our ignorance on to the succeeding generations, and we can't do that. We can't pass our ignorance of the religion to the next generation. I mean, so we talking about community building. It's very important. And there should come a point where sound education, sound Islamic education is a standard in our communities. Not the exception to the rule. It should be the rule. Everyone in our community learns this, then they learn that, then they learn that. Everybody. Especially when we're talking about a certain portion of the religious knowledge that everyone must know, that knowledge which is fard ayn, that's a personal obligation. Everyone must know that properly, not crash course, cut and paste nonsense. So I'm Maliki, but I'm not Ash'ari or Maturidi. What are you? Mujtahid? Like, what are you? From where are you getting your creed? I'm directly from Quran and Sunnah. You're directly Wahhabi, undercover. Listen to that. And you may not even realize it. That's why it's called default. Because you may be doing something that you don't realize what you're doing. Right? And worse, when you got people telling you that. Your sheikh told you that. That's a sign of a charlatan. Your sheikh told you that? He told you that you don't need to follow no school in Aqidah. He told you that? He cheated you, brother or sister. He cheated you. Your sheikh cheated you if he told you that. How is it? Let's think about this. I want you to ponder this. Some people we all know. Let's stick with Shafi'i and Maliki for right now. Hanafis, alhamdulillah, because of the Darul Ulooms and all of the Pakistani, they did a great job with that in general. They got hit too in a different way, but not in these ways. Because of their schools, there's a system. So you got a little bit of a protection by way of that. The Wahhabis still hit them, trust me, they got hit too. But that is a discussion for another time. But since I got myself and Imam Genius, Shafi'i and Maliki aspirants, right? Our great Imams, like Imam al-Haddad, explicitly mention that he's Shafi'i and Ash'ari and Sufi. So for us, he's a great mujaddid, a great scholar in the 12th century in Hadramaut, Yemen, which we all love, Imam al-Haddad, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, wa nafa'ana bih. Then go to Sheikh Uthman Dan Fudio, the Sheikhu, mujaddid in his time. He died 100 years after Imam al-Haddad in Africa. Maliki, Ash'ari, Qadiri, Sufi. And they led some of the greatest aspects of tajdeed that history has known, of renewal, that history has known. And they didn't deviate from that. Who are you? These are well-known top scholars who produce scholars. And they didn't deviate from that, especially when they both reached the level to have independent deductions in legal rulings, both of them, Imam al-Haddad and the Sheikh Uthman Dan Fudio. They reached a level to make some form of textual deduction in religious cases, no doubt, right? So who are we who ain't nowhere near that to say, I don't follow that? What are you following? Where are you getting your stuff from? Our great scholars were like that, and you come along with nowhere near that, not even 10% of it, and talking about you don't need to follow that. The question becomes, from where are you getting it from then? And every time you hear someone say that, listen to them explain Aqidah. Watch the crazy ideas they come up. And then when they talk about Tasawwuf, it's going to get worse. You'll start hearing hulul and ittihad, indwelling and uniting with Allah. You hear all kinds of ugly kufr because they never learned Aqidah properly. But they want to travel the spiritual path. They never learned al-fiqh, right? No, this is serious stuff. And I'm saying we need that. And even if we don't have it, we have to secure it for our people. Listen, we need it. And even if we don't have it, we have to secure it for our people while maintaining our right to self-governance. We got to watch all the traps. Even if we don't have it, we have to secure it for our people while maintaining our right for self-governance. So that doesn't mean because we don't know, we're going to let someone come take over our communities. La, you're not going to do that. You're going to come teach us, and we're going to learn, and we're going to be brothers, and then we're going to do what we have to do as a people. The default position is not going to be, I don't know, you take over. La, you're going to come. It's just like in your house. Some things go wrong in your house. You're not a plumber. You're not an electrician. You call a professional plumber. He comes fix your stuff. You don't let him roam around your house. He comes for what he's there for, to fix your sink, to fix your bathroom, or if it's the electrician to do, or the roofer, he goes on the roof. He's not inside rearranging your furniture. You see the difference? Y'all follow me? Is my point clear? This is what responsible adults have to do. We're responsible adults. We are going to be questioned about our responsibility. This doesn't entail ego. It entails knowing what you can do and what you can't do. That's it, right? Ego comes in when you start doing stuff you can't do and don't seek the proper help that's necessary for what we need to do. That's ego, right? So this is a long-term process, right? This is a long-term process, but I warn against us frauding each other in the name of religion. You know, we have to be, because sometimes we could come off like rigid. No, it's not rigid. We just can't be that loose. It's not rigid. It just can't be that loose, because that's the way those, you don't have to have the name Wahhabi to have Wahhabi ideas, right? And be honest, I'll tell you, beyond a doubt, anyone you hear talking like that, seriously, anyone you hear talking like that, I'm not Ash'ari, I'm not Maturidi, I don't, that's, you know, I'm Shafi, or I'm a Hanbali, or I'm Maliki. Watch, they're gonna be all over the place. If you go to the real curriculum of a madhab and you start talking to these people, you're gonna find they all over the place. They're really la madhabi within a madhab. They don't follow a madhab inside a madhab, if that makes any sense. You start talking to them, really like having a conversation, not attacking, just a conversation. You'll be shocked. You'll be like, wait, I thought you was Maliki. I thought you was Shafi. I thought you was Hanbali. Where you get that stuff from? Because it's really a do-it-yourself project with a fake label on it. It's really a do-it-yourself project with a fake label on it. And we can't afford that in our communities, right? Because what is the sense that we go all this work to come out of non-traditional Islam, to follow our structure well, then within the structure destroy it because we lazy or we got ego problems? That doesn't make sense. I just want to be a leader. Instead of doing what I got to do to be a leader, I'm going to just shortchange everybody so I can be in charge. Instead of doing what I got to do to actually be that leader, I'm just going to shortchange you all so that I can be the leader. No, absolutely not. So when I was talking about learning Maliki fiqh, because I see that it already happened in the Hanbali school. I think that one, you know, they say that horse is out the barn. It's almost hard to catch up with that, right? That horse is gone. And that hurt the Hanbali school historically. In there with those type of people, right? Past and present. Mushabbiha, Mujassima, Wahhabiya. So that school never really gained traction because of that. And that should be a lesson for us. The Hanbali school never gained real traction in the Ummah because of that. Not that the school was wrong, but it was filled with mushabbiha and mujassima, and now modern day Wahhabiya. Now they calling themselves Athariya. It's a mess. So now they changed the Shehu from Ash'ari, where he wrote in his books, to Athari. He's Athari. When did he ever say that? Can someone produce a text? Imam Naim, is there a text where Sheikh Uthman Dan Fudio said, I'm Athari? Do you have a text for that? Huh? Where are you at? Give me a second. I'm sorry. I'm getting ready to stop. Right? But if you go on Wikipedia, right, I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to show you something. I'm sorry. This is really a research project, but I want to turn my phone around real quick. If any of you can read, this is courtesy of the great Imam Naim, Emap Genius. Imam Naim. You see that? It's covered. Let me move it down. Right? Right? He put Uthman, the son of Muhammad, and I'm reading upside down, which is very difficult. The son of Uthman, al-Fulani, nasaban, in his lineage. Al-Maliki, madhaban, Maliki and madhab. Al-Ash'ari, ittiqadan, and in belief. You see that? What happened? Oh, lights. Look at that. That's Uthman Dan Fudio. He mentioned it explicitly. Maliki madhaban, right? Ash'ari ittiqadan. Why he mentioned it? There it is right there. And in several books, right? In several books. Here's another one. There's another one. Right? Maliki madhaban, Ash'ari ittiqadan. There it is, right there. So my question becomes, where we get scared to talk about we're Ahl Sunnah and we don't talk about Aqidah and blah, 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 and we follow the Shehu. Go to Wikipedia. I want to show you something. So you know this how serious this is. That's his books. Now, I want to show you something. So they got Uthman Dan Fudio, right? As I got the light. Whoa, the light is not there. Come on, what's happening here? Right? I want you to go something, right? Go to his creed. Look at his creed. Let me get this up to it, right? Look at his, let me get this, where's the light? Look at his creed. They got religion, Islam, right? Jurisprudence, Maliki. Sunni. Creed, Athari. Look at that. Creed. Religion, Islam. Denomination, Sunni. Jurisprudence, Maliki. Creed, Athari. Tariqa, Qadri. How did he get from Ash'ari to Athari? See the games they play? See the games they play? See the games that's being played? And we should remain silent? See the games that's being played? Slowly but surely, they're going to move us right away from Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And we'll be walking around talking about Maliki Athari. No, but it ain't just Wikipedia. I'm just giving an example when someone, because you know, even most of us who don't have teachers, we're going to look on the internet, and that's what you're going to see. Someone who has a teacher, I'm not looking on the internet. We're just going to go to Imam Genius and be like, yo, bring out your manuscripts out. Share your books. And then we're going to research. Let's go to teachers. Let's go to, that's Sunni way. But that is not just there. That's being spread. And I just gave you an example. That's being spread. And if we don't start speaking the truth, that's going to be the norm. You got people that are teaching people who are Wahhabi. Tell me we just teach Maliki fiqh. But the first thing before fiqh, you got to correct someone's aqidah. Before you talk about fiqh, you can't allow someone to just learn fiqh and have a corrupt aqidah. You can't do that. That's a crime. So if a person comes to you with a bad aqidah, you don't occupy them with learning sound fiqh, because if the aqidah is wrong, the fiqh is not valid. As Imam al-Ghazali said, لا تصيح العبادة إلا بعد معرفة المعبود. The worship is not valid until you know the one you're worshiping. So if a person has a bad creed, you can't overlook that to say, I'm just teaching Maliki fiqh or Shafi'i fiqh. La. You have to teach them the correct creed first. That's the first obligation. أول واجب على الإنسان معرفة الإله باستقانة. The first obligation on the human being is to know the one who's worshipped with certainty. So we have to do it. And then when you stuck at the Shehu, you study his books in Maliki fiqh, the way he taught, there was a tartib. You learn this book, then you learn this book, then you learn this book. And they all had teachers. So all of them sat in sessions of teachers. Why are we not doing the same thing? And trust me, if we all learn properly, whether we learn from the route of the Imam al-Haddad, for instance, or we learn the Lat and we were Shafi'i, and you know, we learn from the route of the Shehu, and we really Maliki, we really, what were the books that the Shehu taught and the Shehu learned in Aqidah? Al-Qutub al-Sanusiyya, the Sanusi creeds, right? The Sanusi creeds. That's what he taught. That's what he learned. That's evident in his books. Let me show you something. What do we learn? The Sanusi creeds, right? These are the Sanusi creeds, along with his Muqaddimah, right? These are the creeds of the Sanusi. A smaller one, Al-Aqidatu Sugra, right? Another one, Al-Aqidatu Sugra, right? Al-Aqidatu Wusta, Al-Aqidatu Kubra, and Sharh al-Muqaddimat. That's the Sanusi. Same thing the Sheikh was learning, same thing we learn. As Shafi'i, we learned the Sanusiya. We learned these books. You learned on this platform, Sheikh Walid taught this al-Barahin. The same thing the Sheikh. So why is our Aqidah different? That's what the Sheikh taught. That's what Imam al-Haddad, even though Imam al-Haddad, he didn't go deeply into these books, they studied them. And he was saying for the common people, long as you got the sound creed, it's valid, right? So there's no difference. So whether I studied in Yemen and I studied in Egypt, or I studied in Africa or in Morocco, we Ahl Sunnah, right? We should have the same creed. We shouldn't be saying, oh, we got a different creed. Where are you getting this stuff from? But yet you claiming to follow the people, these great imams. You way off from what they're talking about. Let's see your curriculum, how it matches. You see our curriculum. We teach regularly. Anyone who's been with us over time, you see our curriculum. Book after book after book, scholars, lineage, chains of narration. You see how we go. No doubt about it. It's open. Can't hide it. You've met our teachers. You've seen our teachers. You know that their chains are available. We should all be like that, right? We should all be like that. That shouldn't be like top secret. Oh, no. I got my... No. We Ahl Sunnah. That's how we supposed to spread the religion. Why is this stuff all hidden? What you up to? What are we up to when we're hiding the religion? Any questions? I really wanted to express this. And this is just a summary of how I really want to go about it. But I had mentioned something because I was telling you that I'm doing Maliki Fiqh and I'm really into it. I'm enjoying myself, right? Tell the truth. But because I see that another way our people are being misled is now through the Maliki school. It's not the Maliki school, but that's the cover they're using, right? And this authority approach, but we Maliki. It's a big problem in Morocco, a huge problem. The Wahhabi doctrine is all over Morocco, who was traditionally Ash'ari, but now it's slowly changed. So you go to Morocco, they're Maliki, but Wahhabi. A major problem in Morocco, a major problem. Officially, they're Ash'ari, but when you go mix with the people, so many Wahhabis that'll drive you crazy. Maliki Wahhabis. And now they're trying to do that with the Shehu. So you're going to find that because black people want to, West Africa, slowly but surely, they're changing the tune. Now you're going to find that through the Maliki approach from Africa, it's going to be Wahhabi stuff if we don't take a stand. You understand my point? If we don't learn and take a stand, that's what you're going to have. Or some other Negro business that we don't want no parts of either. And I hate to say it like that, but being honest, it's either going to be a Wahhabi approach or some other Negro business that we shouldn't be doing. So it's cloak and dagger stuff. No. So we're going to learn by necessity so that we can teach our people. We're not going to leave our people to the wolves. We're not going to do that. No. Because you got people there, I want to learn Maliki fiqh. So I go over to this guy who's teaching nonsense, who's deviating from the path because, my people are Maliki. All right, here's the Maliki curriculum. Here's the stuff. We're going to force your hand. You can't just play the games. Nah, because now you got to step it up. We're going to raise the bar on you. Now you got to step it up. We're going to raise the bar. You still ain't going to be able to hide. We're going to raise the bar. Very important. Raise the bar. And we should raise the bar in education among us. Allah. All right. I went over time, but this yeah, but if you study the major Maliki scholars, they always corrected that issue where Ibn Abi Zayd mentioned, rahimahullah, that وَهُوَ فَوْقَ الْعَرْشِ الْمَجِيدِ بِذَاتِهِ, and use that term بِذَاتِهِ. If you study the commentaries of the major Maliki scholars on the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd, the Azhari scholars, the scholars from Al-Jazair or from Tunis or from Al-Maghrib, like Sheikh Ahmed Zarruq, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, they all clear that stuff up. And I'll show you. They have the same approach of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. They all clear this issue. So that we have the books and we have the teachers. They all clear this issue up. So even they give this high status to Ibn Abi Zayd, rahimahullah ta'ala, they didn't let that go. They addressed that. And they gave a proper interpretation and understanding of that. They didn't leave it to someone can have the belief of al-Mujassima and Mushabbiha or al-Wahhabiyya in the name of the Maliki school. They didn't leave it like that. Absolutely not. And anyone who reads their books know better than that. No, don't fly. Because someone said, even Ibn Abi Zayd said, la. How did the scholars of the madhab understand that statement? Because Ibn Abi Zayd was an early scholar of the madhab. What about all of those scholars in the madhab, like every other madhab, who came after Ibn Abi Zayd, who explained all the way down to Imam Dardir? Did you find that? Did you find that? No. All the way down to the great Maliki scholar Imam Dardir. Did you find that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But here's the key. Just keep you ignorant of the books. Just keep you on, we got little Akhdari, we got the English translation of this, and we start playing games, and no one's learning. It's easy to fool people like that. And listen, that's dangerous. We're going to die. We're going to, all of us, we out of here. Most of us probably got at tops 30 years. We out of here. We're gone. Are we going to leave our kids like that and our grandkids? Because I think we're missing a big point. If we don't educate our children, They're going to be the servants of other children, like we, unfortunately, have been the servants of others. Please put that up. If we don't educate our children, they're going to be the servants of others, unfortunately, just as we are serving others today. We rely on others for everything because we didn't produce our own scholarship, our own institutions. So we're always at the foot of someone else. And if we don't change, our children are going to be like that. Our grandchildren are going to be like that. And that is not acceptable. So we got to get out our own way. This idea that, I got to be the man. No, you don't. You got to produce the man, or produce the man who produces the man. You might not even have the talent to be the man or the time. You're not going to be Sheikh al-Maliki fi America. That's not going to happen. You're not going to be the Sheikh of the Malikis in America. You don't have the talent. Get out the way. Prepare the children, or prepare the grandchildren or the great-grandchildren. But you get out the way. And that goes for me and all of us. We can't be in the way. We got to see the bright ones among us, and we got to set up that platform for them to grow. Or they are going to be Wahhabi by default at minimum. The whole institution going to be destroyed, and everyone else is building around the world. And when we come, we're going to be the servants of the world because we didn't do our jobs. Everyone else, this stuff is normal. In every country around the world, this is normal. Even if most of the people are chasing the dunya, there's always some people doing this work. And our community is like obsolete, doesn't exist. We got to get out our own way. It's not personal, right? It's not personal. We have to get out our own way. I know we want to be relevant. I know we want to be, some of us didn't have a dunya career. Some of us didn't have a dunya career. So I was a mark in the dunya, and I use the deen to be significant. I was, excuse me for the ghetto talk. What I mean by I was a mark in the dunya, I was a nobody. I didn't get no money. I didn't have a lot of women. I didn't do any of that in the dunya. So now I'm using the deen. I don't mean me personally, I mean the person. Now I use the deen to get all that I missed in the dunya. Some people are like that. In the dunya, I was a mark. I wasn't on my block. I was soft as cotton. I wasn't running the block. I didn't have a bunch of girls. And now when I get in the deen, I'm the man. You wasn't the man in the dunya. You was a joker. You was on the porch. Now you shake. Right? No, I'm telling you our mentality. Some of us are like that. Like, I used the deen to get women. When I was in the street, I didn't get no women. Because we have that both background. I didn't get no girls. But now in the deen, I'm in control of the girls. I got all the women. All of the broken women. And that's a shame that you're using broken women like that. You got all the broken women. You should be empowering them, but you're exploiting them. That's a problem. Because in the dunya, you got to have your stuff together to get the top rank. I'm just being honest. This is some stuff when we're talking among ourselves, we know. If we be honest, we know. We know dudes that wasn't nothing. You was joker before Dean, you was on the porch. Now you in Dean, you shake. You the man. Come on, man, knock it off. That's that story I tell in jail, right? Dude. I'm sorry. This stuff can be funny. Dude, he's in jail. He on the phone with the sister, Allah says in the Quran and Sunnah and blah, 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 blah. And in the jail, this joker is not even in the community. He come to Juma, hear a couple of things, go play the game, and then come home like he on his deen. Even in jail, he wasn't deaning. Even in the prison, he wasn't in the forefront. Joker didn't come to class. Joker didn't study. But the sister, come on, man. Yeah, he's on his deen now. Because he got his pants up to his kneecaps. Come on, man. He was a joker in jail. This is us being real when we're talking to ourselves. We can't play these games. When we're talking about we got serious business, we can't allow that stuff to go. Seriously, we can't. And our lifeline, if you understand it or not, our lifeline is the madhab of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. The methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, al-Asha'ira, wal-Maturidi, wal-Maturidiyya, wal-Hanafiyya, wal-Malikiyya, wal-Shafi'iyya, wal-Hanabila, wal-Sufiyya. With that unbroken chain of narration, that's our lifeline. Don't let it go. Don't let nobody sever your connection with nonsense. And I'm talking to you like this because we understand one another. I could do the intellectual, Sufi, traditional suburban approach. That ain't working for us. We gotta be real with each other. Joker, you know you gaming. We know you gaming, and you know you gaming. Knock it off. We know the difference. We know the difference. You run that crap on somebody else. And real black imams, they know this stuff. Real black imams, we know this stuff. We aware of it. Because we about serious business. We're trying to build something. And you faking jacks and playing games. Nobody got time for that. It pains me to see the condition of our people. It pains me. My heart aches when I watch, because I've experienced this stuff. I've lived it. I've seen it. And I know what's being stripped from us. It's different. Somebody don't know. Let me give you a language that we all understand in our inner city thing. It's like you don't have the connect. And the dude has been giving you high prices, making you think you're getting a deal. And then you finally meet the connect and realize this dude been raking you over the coals for years. You be hot. You thought you was the man. This dude was exploiting you all the time. You be hot. You want to smoke them, as you say. You want to put them in the trunk. Don't let nobody do that to us religiously. The system is already set up. We just got to rise to the level of the system. It's already there. We got our chains of narration. We got our books. We got everything we need. It's there. But people been hiding it from us. That's why we don't know, right? It's there. It's available. But they've been hiding it from us. What I'm saying is not new. It's not Amin Muhammad is some smart guy. It's just I've been exposed, so I know better. The key is that we all get exposed, so we all know better, right? It's not like I'm coming up with something new. Anyone who studied real Islam in a proper way knows what I'm talking about. They might not express it the way I express it. I'm a black guy. I got my own way, right? But they know it. I could bring any of these guys, these famous 5-star internet superstar sheikhs, and I love them. I'm just being sarcastic. Bring any of them, and we sit down and talk. If they study, they're going to like, you're right. They might not express like me. They might not use my hard examples. Am I right? Yeah, you're right. So it's not unknown. What I'm saying is not, right? because I studied in all the places you studied. So I know it's there. I have all the books you have. So I know that you know. That's not something I'm making up. You know it. We can discuss it. You can't lie to me. I want to tell you what happened to me quick. And I'm sorry. Please, I beg the reader to forgive me. And I beg all of you who came just for the class to forgive me. But I'm not just teaching class. I'm trying to save souls and save my people from destruction. So I got to multitask. I'm going to give you an example. One of these big 5-star imams who don't have a masjid or community, right? Who left that work because it's such a struggle. Sometimes we sell out because y'all make it hard, man. I'm telling you. Sometimes we sell out because y'all make it hard. What do I mean, y'all? Us as a people, man, we treat our leaders so rough, right? And the others come with the flashy stuff, with the money, with the comfort, you know, and we sell out. And sometimes, I mean, I'm sorry, right? But we make it hard, man. Everybody don't want to be like the 3 amigos, man. Ain't nobody trying to do all that. One of those 5-star sheikhs, I said to him, I said, yo, you got to come teach. He said, yeah, man, look, Imam, I'm feeling you, but these threads cost money. It's not funny, but I had to laugh because he actually said it. He said, yo, Imam, I'm feeling you out, but these threads cost money. You see what kind of shoes I wear? You see what kind of suits I wear, bro? I can't do that. Back I come throw you a little something, but I can't do that, bro. It's sad, but he actually said that to me. I'm feeling you, bro. Power to the people, but I gotta eat. Oh, Allahu Akbar. Oh, y'all changed it? Go ahead, soldier. Somebody gonna go back and change it to Wahhabi back. Now y'all you starting to fight. Let's see. Let me look. Oh, somebody changed it to Ash'ari. Now y'all know why y'all shouldn't learn from the internet, right? So now they went, alhamdulillah, they went back and changed it. Where's that at? Is it there? Y'all see it? That easy. And that's a good thing. Now let's see if somebody gonna go change it back to Afari. Everybody keep a focus on this. So this is the Wikipedia. May Allah reward our sister Samira Soldier. They went and fixed the creed of Imam Sheikh Uthman Dan Fudio on Wikipedia. So now it says Ash'ari. Let's see if it goes back to Athari and see what's going on here. Everybody pay attention to that. Right? So they fixed it. Now, let's see if it goes back later. May Allah reward you. See, it's worthwhile talking, right? It's about to be hot out in these Wikipedia streets. No, we're doing a job, right? Now, at least we can have the discussion, because if they change it back, we can make an issue. And then we can present our evidences as why it should be Ash'ari from his own words. That's da'wah. We can spread. So now, just like he said Ash'ari, everyone who claims to follow him should be proud enough to say Ash'ari. That's what he said. He wrote in his books. Now let's watch them try to change him like they did Imam al-Ash'ari. Watch they try to change him. But let me tell you this story. So one of those 5-star imams, he wanted me to do something with him. And he asked me to compromise with a Wahhabi person. I said, absolutely not. I said, I don't mind doing something, but I'm going to clear the issue of the creed. and then we can move on. But I'm not doing something with this person and act like creed is not an issue. I'm not doing that. That's absolutely not. Straight up, I'm not doing that. You are not going to get me on a panel with a guy who I know is a Wahhabi, and I'm going to remain silent. I don't have to argue. We don't have to fight, but I have to clarify. Because you're not going to use me to stamp Wahhabi creed. I'm not doing it. No. It don't got to be an argument. He can say his position. I'm going to say my position. I'm going to say the position of the Ash'ari Ahl Sunnah, and then we move on. I'm not leaving that issue blank. I'm not going to do that. Neither should you. I'm not playing those games with my people. Absolutely not. He can do what he wants. I don't have a problem with that. I disagree. But you're not going to make it like I agree with that. Not even implicitly. That's not going to happen. Do y'all understand what I mean? We're not going to act like this. We all getting along, and then you use me for people to think, oh, well, he was with him, so that must be cool. No, we ain't doing it. Absolutely not. And we just clarify the issue. You understand we're working together in this, not in that. So if we're going to go do a feeding, we're all feeding. The Muslims are feeding. Ahl Sunnah and the Wahhabiyya are working together in the issue of feeding food. As for creed, this is the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. We're working together on stopping violence in the community. We're not just going to make it a blanket where, the Muslims are doing this. And then, so people would want to go be with the Muslims, and then they go be with you and they learn a bad creed. I'm not stamping that. But you could be together, and we're working together to do a good thing in the community. These are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. These are Al-Wahhabiyya. We're working together to do that good thing. They have their creed, we have our creed. And then the person, at least they have the knowledge to know if I want to go learn something, they're not the same. Because they're not the same. I'm not going to deceive you. If I want to go learn, I could talk to them and I could talk to them and I'll make a decision. But I'm not going to give you a false perception of reality. I wouldn't want them to do it to us, and I wouldn't do it to them. And the one who stands to lose in that exchange is Ahl Sunnah, because the Wahhabiyya books are all over the place. We're still trying to get our stuff out in the English literature and in the community. Most of the people are default Wahhabi. We can't afford to do that. Now you know why I'm so straight when I say Ash'ari match. I don't hesitate. I don't allow nobody around me to do it, because we're going to lose in that equation. We're going to hurt our tradition in that equation. We can't afford to do that. That don't mean you got to be mean. That don't mean you got to hate people. You just got to tell the truth. There's nothing wrong with that. And we Muslim, we should love the truth. If y'all follow me. Let me open up quickly. Please, again, to our reader, please forgive me for going over, because I know your time is precious. But these issues are so important. They cannot be overstressed. They're so important. Because some people had never heard this stuff before. They've been like just given given a story, the greatest story ever told. And they don't know no better. And if we don't talk, they're not going to never learn. It's not available. There are not enough people who got big mouths. Let's say that, right? There are not enough who got big mouths. There are a lot of people who got the knowledge, but they're quiet. That ain't helping us any. That's not. We need some people to talk. The Shaykh who talked, rahimahullah, read his books. I'm enjoying reading this stuff. He was a soldier. He was serious about education, serious about teaching the knowledge. They were memorizing books. They weren't playing no games. They were in Arabic language, in tafsir, hadith, fiqh, usul al-fiqh, balagha, usul al-hadith, all kinds of stuff. Government, Islamic ruling, finance. They were serious before they were in charge. Before they were in charge. Before he was the leader. They were like that as young people. He was memorizing that stuff with his father. They were serious. Just like Imam al-Haddad. Just like all of our great scholars. They had chains of narration. They weren't cut off. They named their sheikhs. Read his books. My sheikh who studied from this sheikh, who studied from this sheikh, who brought this. They had that stuff. What about us? They were serious. They were dead serious. No, I'm not going to become Maliki. I am Shafi'i for life. But I know the necessity of learning to preserve Ahl Sunnah. And in our time, maybe through the Maliki school, we can preserve Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in our country. If you understand what I'm saying. I believe that. Especially with us. You know a lot of people. I know a lot of them. Be honest. They're only Maliki because they think Maliki equates to being African and black. Am I right or wrong? So must be honest here. A lot of people, they're only Maliki, not because of the madhab. They equate Maliki with black. Am I right or wrong? Who challenges that? It ain't nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying that's reality. I'm going back to my people. So Maliki is the default position, which is no problem. But learn Maliki school right. Because if you be Maliki and you study our tradition, you're going to be Ash'ari too. You're going to be Sufi too. Because Maliki is just fiqh. What about the rest of the religion? So if you really going back, if you study the Shehu, you study his works, you're going to study what he studied. You're going to do all that. So you're going to be Ash'ari and you're going to be Sufi. But you notice they leave those two parts out. A Maliki. Right? They leave the rest of the stuff out. So if you study, and I'm saying the Shehu because that's spreading. Study the works of the Shehu. There's no problem. There's no problem. Open his books. Study his works. Study the works of his brother. Study the works of his son. Study the works of his daughter. Study their works and get in it. And then you'll see. It's nothing different. Different style, different, same stuff. Get the chains of narrations. You'll see it. And guess what? When you get the chains of narrations, you're going to see the unity of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And you're going to realize, ultimately, what you went to is going to still lead back to the same thing our stuff lead back to. The same scholars that the Shehu ultimately took from is the same scholars that are in my chain. His is closer because he's older and he's in a different time area. But if you study his asanid and I give you my asanid, you're going to see they all meet. The same sheikhs that his sheikhs had were the same sheikhs of my sheikhs. Same thing. So this is Ahl Sunnah. So whether I was Maliki or Shafi'i or Hanafi, it's the same. I'll give you an example of that. And we don't need to go in your Braillery Dia Bandy fight right now. That's not our problem. That's your problem, right? I was in El Medina, and in the Prophet's Mosque, and I met Sheikh Taqiyuddin Uthmani, right? So my teachers in Lebanon and in Syria, especially Sheikh Samir, right? They relate directly from Sheikh Muhammad Yassin al-Fadani, the great Musnid of Mecca, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So from Sheikh Samir, it's direct to Sheikh Muhammad Yassin al-Fadani, the great Musnid hadith scholar of Mecca, right? So we took that route from Sheikh Samir, all of those narrations and the books and the different chains for different books. Our route goes through that, right? So when we were studying that, I noticed that Sheikh Muhammad Yassin al-Fadani wrote a chains of narration for Sheikh Taqiyuddin Uthmani, right? He wrote it for him specifically, but it was all the scholars from the subcontinent. So I want to just show you something about chains of narration, how they work. So there's different types of chains. So you have some asanid chains that are all like people from Mecca, or people from Egypt, or people from Morocco, or people from Yemen, or people from Syria. So, right? So you have these different types they're all different types. So scholars, depending what they learned, it's going to be different types of chains, right? Sheikh Samir is Hanafi Shafi'i. Hanafi, but he knows Shafi'i fiqh as well, but he's Hanafi. Anyway, so when we learned from Sheikh Samir about the different asanid of Sheikh Muhammad Yassin al-Fadani, one of them was this chains of narration that he wrote for Sheikh Taqiyuddin Uthmani. So when I saw Sheikh Taqiyuddin Uthmani in Medina, in the Prophet's Mosque, I wanted that particular book from him because I didn't meet Sheikh Yassin al-Fadani. So when I was talking to him, he started to ask me, before I give you these chains of narration, I want to ensure that you know you have knowledge of it before I give it to you. So he asked me who were my teachers and what books did I learn from those teachers in this science. So I started to articulate my teachers from here. And he said, okay, I'll give it to you. Like he made sure that this wasn't some guy just not knowing what he's talking about. So he questioned me about it, right? And he stopped me because I started running this one. I learned from this teacher, this teacher, that, and he just stopped me. He was like, good. And then he gave me that narration from Sheikh Muhammad Yassin al-Fadani, and he added other routes, right? Now he's from the subcontinent. But when he gave it to me, even the other routes, I already knew them from my other teachers, but I just didn't have it from his route. So he gave it to me from his route. You see how Ahl Sunnah works? When we're in this, no matter where you go in the world, it's going to connect. That's the beauty of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. That's the beauty of chains of narration. So I meet this guy from the subcontinent, this sheikh, right? He don't know me, I don't know him, but we're connected, right? You see my point? If we truly have this science correct, that doesn't mean people are perfect, right? That's why I said I don't want to get into the Braille Dio Bandy fight. That's their fight. I'm just talking about the point, right? So here's a black man from America, a man from the subcontinent, never met each other, and they could come together and they could exchange lineages like they were brothers. You see my point? And I could do that with anybody who's a real Sunni anywhere in the world. So when we're talking about the Shehu, right? I know my chains of narration. So what is his? We're going to connect. So his chain go this way, and I'm saying, oh, I know this person. Here's my chain to that person, to this person, to that person, like a family reunion. That's Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. It's like a family reunion no matter where we go. He's Shafi'i. Y'all follow my point? That is our lineage. It's religious lineage, and we should be proud of that. Not something we should hide, not something we need to spread it among ourselves. Like they do, like everybody in the world do. Yes, that's the same person. Yes. I took his narrations, complete narrations that he has to Sheikh Muhammad Yassin al-Fadani, but in those narrations, they're all scholars from the subcontinent. Like I took with Sheikh Samir from Muhammad Yassin al-Fadani, all of the narrations from Sham, from Syria, right? So I have them, right? That I took through Sheikh Samir. We have from our teachers, from Sheikh Abdullah al-Ghumari, all of those narrations that he took from Morocco and Egypt, because he was in Egypt for a long time. Even, I'll give you an example, right? We went to Kansas. He'll give you an example. So he said, big facts. I seen that with my own eyes when you, Imam Amin, came to Kansas and met Sheikh Mohammed Hilali. So when we were talking with that Sheikh, he's from Yemen, from Taiz. So we met him, and I was talking to him in the masjid. From where did you study? Because he said, I'm from this city. Then I said, okay, listen, I have a chain of narration through my teachers to the mufti of that city, right? He said, amazing. I studied with the mufti, and I used to be in his house, and I named my chain to him and the places and where he was. And we had a beautiful talk just from knowing our scholars. So he's in the Yemen. I never been to that city, right? But my teachers connected to his teachers. And he actually was with that teacher. And I have a thabit from Habib Umar exactly mentioning the chains of that sheikh. Right? That's our religion. It's connected. It's connected. No matter where you go in the world. So even if someone's jacking it up, we're going to catch them. People make mistakes. And that could be unintentional. But if they're serious, we're going to catch it. We're going to catch the errors and we fix it. We don't got to criticize. People make mistakes. Just, that's accidental. Now, when you intentionally doing something, that's another story, right? Right. So, all right, let me bring this. Any last questions? I'm sorry. I know this went way over, but I think I'm trying to emphasize something. There's no claims. We just listen. Keep it. Let me close this so to make sure you understand there's no claims. We're not qualified to do what we have to do. We admit that. But unfortunately, it's either we do what we do or we let al-Wahhabiyya and other people of misguidance destroy our people with the only thing we got left is Islam. And let me tell you about Shaitan. He doesn't care if you have Islam. That's not real Islam. He doesn't care if you have a form of Islam, but in reality, you're off the straight path. He doesn't care about that. If that's what he got to settle for, he'll take it. Muslim by name and outward appearance, but in reality, far away from it. He'll take that. He'll accept. He'll accept. No problem. Because the end result is the same. You're far off the path. And actually, that is more suitable because you can fool a person into actually believing that they're on the straight path. He'll accept. Two, you got the point Muslims don't even know what they believe. Supposed to be a Muslim and don't know what to believe. Don't know what's the correct belief in Islam. How are you going to give da'wah? Really? You don't even know what to believe yourself. You don't even know what's true or false. Does Allah exist without a place, or is Allah sitting on a throne in heaven? You don't know. Oh, it could be this, it could be that. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. We can't accept this stuff. Diametrically opposed beliefs, you can't distinguish between them. In fact, you try to water Islam down so much to us all the same, and then tell us that's the deen. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmed would never settle for this stuff. Never. Never. Never, ever settle for this stuff. Read their biographies. I'm telling you, we got a lot of learning to do. Read the biographies of these great imams. They never settle for the stuff we go for, ever, especially in creed. Even though they were great jurists, they never accepted this stuff in their time. To now is this, normal to accept bad aqidah, bad practice, and just be like, it's all right. Yeah, they black. They really don't matter. Let them have anything. We're not going for that, but the blacks, give it to them. No problem. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. We cannot allow that. This is the birthright of this ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it's in Sahih Muslim. Al-isnadu min ad-din walau la isnad laqala man sha ma sha. The chain of narration is a part of the religion. Without it, anyone can say whatever they want. It is a protection. It's a protection. Because that's how our religion is conveyed. If we got that, we can see the breaks and the gaps and all of that. We can catch it. Right? I'll take a few questions, then I'm out. If anyone has some few questions, go ahead and ask. What's your position on those that try to revive dead fiqh madhabs? Wahhabism in another form. Wahhabism in another form. Because it's a dead madhab because it doesn't have a chain of narration. That's why it's a dead madhab. So that means you're piecing together books to make legal rulings, which is disastrous. So from you're following a dead madhab that doesn't have chains of narration, doesn't have scholars, doesn't have relied upon books that have been conveyed from generation to generation. So we leave to your scholarship. So we're going to leave the 4 imams with hundreds of scholars, chains of narrations, to your interpretation of a long dead school. So we're going to leave these great scholars to you, who ain't nothing like none of them. And I'm not talking about just the 4 imams. I'm talking about every successive generation of the chain. I'm not talking about just Abu Hanifa, radiallahu ta'ala, or Imam Malik, or Imam Shafi'i. I'm talking about every level, their students, the great scholars at that level. The students of their students, the great scholars at that level. And every generation to our day today. That's the 4 schools. Give me someone else like that. Give me someone else like that. Give me another madhab like that. So if you say the Zahiri madhab, Ibn Hazm, that's your authority. Where's the chains of narration for all of the sacred law for the Zahiri madhab? Tell me. Where are the books of explanation? Where are the books of clarification? Where are the books of the scholars from generation to generation, from the time of Ibn Hazm to our day, except a revival in the last few centuries from the side of Al-Wahhabiyya, promoting his positions, and Al-Madhabiyya. That's it. There's a generational gap. Where are the chains of narrations, and where are the scholars, and where are the books to support that madhab? Where are they? Show me. So you mentioned only Ibn Hazm's books, which has some of the strangest positions in them, without any chains of narrations, without any supporting review of the school by top-ranked scholars in each field. Show me. As it is with the four schools. See, because people just try to say the four imams. No. We're talking about every single generation. Not just the four imams, not just Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi, Ahmed. We're talking about every tabaqa, every layer, every level under them for 1,200 years. All around the world, top-ranking scholars who contribute to the work of the madhab, refining the madhab, clarifying the madhab, providing hadith proofs for the madhab, providing Arabic language proofs for the madhab. All of these things in the madhab at every level, all around the world. Besides the four, show me that. With such precision. Well, we don't know our religion. This ain't some haphazard project. This is well thought out. Listen, you could go to medical school and you won't see what the mujtahid scholars did in terms of learning. You could go to medical school to be a specialist, a brain surgeon, and you won't do the level of study and research that the scholars did for our sacred law. You could be an expert brain surgeon. You can imagine what kind of education and study they got to go through. That won't compare nothing to a mujtahid scholar. Nothing, zero, not even close to the research of those scholars. I'll give you something quickly. I'm sorry, I know I said I'm gonna stop, but this stuff is important. You know, in the Maliki school, after Imam Malik, what is the most prominent reference after Imam Malik in the school? After him, so right after Imam Malik, what is one of the most prominent scholars in the Maliki school after Imam Malik? The next level. Anyone can answer? Malikis, come on, let's go. I'm testing y'all. After Imam Malik, the next level, who is the most authoritative scholar in terms of their books? Sahnun is among them, but that's not who I'm talking about. Ibn al-Qasim, right? Ibn al-Qasim. What is Ibn al-Qasim's book for the Maliki school? Ibn al-Qasim, what is his book in the Maliki school? Come on, Malik. I know y'all see, this is I'm throwing Scud missiles, getting y'all ready, right? What is his book for Ibn al-Qasim? Come on, Malikis. I'm gonna push. We're gonna study. We're gonna get this right. Come on, Malikis. Ibn al-Qasim. What's his book in the Maliki school? Come on, Isa. Isa, if you don't answer this, you got to become Shafi. Wait, I'm messing with you. Al-Mudawwana, right? Al-Mudawwana, right? Al-Mudawwana. Where are those Malikis who hide in the back? Come on, answer. Y'all there? Put your answers out. Y'all spying. Where you at? Come on, come out. Right. His opinions in the Mudawwana. Right. Right? I want to give you something. Why is the opinions of Ibn al-Qasim so important? Right? Why is his point so important? He spent 20 years with Imam Malik. Whew, think about that. Ibn al-Qasim spent 20 years studying with Imam Malik. 20 years. Imagine what type of encyclopedia he was. 20 years with Imam Malik. No, Imam Naim is letting the others do it. He knows. He's a genius. Don't worry about him. We used to sit back and don't say anything. We want to see what our people are doing. Imam Naim's the genius. Trust me. He got all this stuff. But it ain't about us. It's about us. It ain't about us as imams. It's about us as a community. Follow my point, though, what I mean by that. 20 years. So we just think about Imam Malik, right? But in real studies, someone who was with Imam Malik for 20 years, they know a lot of stuff. They know how he answered things. They know who came to him. They knew the different riwayat from him. They were there for 20 years as a top student. So when we talk about the Maliki madhab, you're not just talking about Imam Malik. You're talking about that level of people that saw him. And then when he became his own teacher, how many people came to relate the madhab of Imam Malik from his route? Y'all follow my point? Do you get my point? So then when you go spread to the different schools of the Maliki school itself, like in the Shafi, like in the Hanafi, same thing. There are different madaris, different schools within the school. You have the Medinan school, you have the Egyptian school, you have the Iraqi school, you have the Maghribi school, and even they can call it the Andalusi school, mixed with the Maghribi school. So you can say 4 or 5 different approaches in the Maliki school at the level just after Imam Malik's companions and the companions of Imam Malik. You're talking about serious stuff. You see my point? I'm talking about scholarship at the top ranks, just like we have in the Shafi'i school or in the Hanafi school, or like we got Imam Shafi'i and we got our Imam al-Muzani. And from Imam al-Muzani, you got so much that came from that, right? This is Ahl Sunnah. Normally, we as common people wouldn't be talking about these things. But what happens when your religion is under attack, you have to know these things. Because we're being attacked with these great scholars who had these methodologies and learning and all of these stuff, with dudes who didn't even finish Ibadat, telling us to school. This is a problem. So Sheikh Samir asked me one time, he said, why you talk about all this stuff? I said, Sheikh, if we don't know this stuff, people are going to fool us. This is not like Syria, where there's a bunch of scholars around and the common people just be common people. And when they have questions, they go to the scholars. No, this is America. The common people are the scholars. He looked at me like, wow, I never thought of it like that. I said, this is not like Syria, where the common people remain common people, and there are so many scholars, elders. You just go to the sheikh, right? And that sheikh is a real sheikh. This is America. The common people are the scholars. You follow my point? The common people are the scholars. So this is a tragedy, right? So we have to learn enough to realize that we don't dumb down our religion, even if we're not that smart. But because I'm not that smart, that doesn't mean I'm going to dumb down the religion. I'm going to say, this is the bar and I'm not there. Let's learn it and let's get it there. You follow my point? It's not about putting each other down. It's about making an environment where we can all grow. You follow my point? And it's so far from where we're at, but we got to do the work. We cannot be lazy. We're going to fall behind. We go to school for 6-8 hours, and the Japanese and Chinese going to school for 20 hours, for 16 hours. We're not going to compete. They're going to take over the world. We're going to be behind. We're not going to find a job. As a way of, similarity, analogy. So I hope this was of some benefit. Just to give the point. So from our Maliki brothers, the Shafi'is are coming to help you revive the madhab. We got your number. So keep faking jacks if you want. We got your number. We coming. You will not pollute Ahl Sunnah in the name of the madhabs. Not going to happen. Not on our watch. We're prepared. You're going to step it up one way or the other. You're not going to keep fooling the people. We can't afford that. We need educated people because we got to fight a bigger battle, a bigger struggle of lack of education, and we can't be you perpetuating that lack of education. We can't afford that. You got to get out the way. Either you raise the bar or get out the way, period. Can't do it. I know it works for your ego, but it doesn't work for our people. I want to be the man. I got it, but we can't afford that. Be the man and do the work to be the man, and we can accept that. But if you ain't doing the work, you got to get out the way because you're going to hurt our children. So we can say it all together. Imam Naim, let's say it together. Today's Maliki is not yesterday's Maliki. Oh, man. I'm just having fun. All right, may Allah reward y'all. Today is Wednesday. We off today, inshallah. May Allah make it easy for all of us. We're coming. Trust me, we're coming. We're on a mission. We're going to help our people. Inshallah ta'ala. Allah give us tawfiq. We're going to help our people. We're not just going to be the dumping ground for everybody's false ideas. No. May Allah reward you all. Please keep us all in your dua. Support us in our work. We're trying. If you're benefiting, give us your hand. Help us out. Barakallahu bikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.